And now back to the Gunsmith Show with John and Jake Smith.
If you'd like to talk to John or Jake, call now, 810-743-8255.
You know, and we don't say that enough. The phone lines are always open here, but it's early. And welcome calls whenever. If you have questions about anything about guns and gun related, always feel free to call in and interject whenever you feel like it. If we think you're crazy, we'll politely bring that volume down and you'll fade away.
We don't ever say, are you... Well, yeah, okay, maybe we do say that. but this comes at part of the show each month. It's the first show of the new month, December.
Yes.
The CPL numbers have been released by the Michigan State Police.
So the CPL, that's Concealed Pistol License.
Yes.
And the numbers that come out, Jacob talks about, are how many there are now in the state of Michigan.
Yes. From November 1st to December 1st in the state of Michigan.
Drum roll, please.
More like a hum.
Yeah.
Hum, please.
Hum, please.
Harumph. All right. There are 2,800 new CPL holders in the state of Michigan, bringing our total number of active CPL holders to 453,900 armed civilians on the streets legally every day.
Wow. That's pretty astounding. That's quite a number, isn't it?
Legally.
Up 2,800 in 1 month.
Legally. That's the key word.
Yes. Yes. Squelching crime daily.
Yes.
Making criminals think twice about strong-armed robbery.
Here's something. This stabbing that happened last night in the Amtrak train.
Yes.
You cannot take handguns onto a train. Well, and it was coming back from Chicago, so there's no handguns allowed there anyways.
Well,
defenseless people on the train, unfortunately.
How did it end, do you know?
From what I've heard, the suspect was caught, and he's from Saginaw. That's what I've read.
Really? Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I feel sorry for everybody involved. This week, odd things this week. You know, you see all this violence on the TV, and you hear about, the police brutality, and you hear about people going nuts and doing stupid things. And I just happened to be walking out of the mall this week and saw an altercation between security guards and a thief.
Yep.
And the thief was fighting a young little girl, basically, smacking security guards and hitting them and wouldn't stop and was slammed to the ground, and they were going to cuff her, and she said, no, I don't need to be cuffed. As soon as she, acted calm, she punched the security guard right in the face again over a purse. It was all over a stolen purse. It's like, what kind of an animal, when you're caught like that, is going to act in that way? So it's one of those eye-openers, folks. Here you are. I'm in front of J.C. Penney's and this happens.
Yeah.
Thinking, well, that's probably one of the safer entrances to run into real quick. And this happens right there. I mean, so crime is all around us. Is there a reason for CPLs? You bet there is. You never know what's going to happen. You don't know what's around the next corner or what that person's mindset is. So you have to be in that situational awareness at all times. So CPLs, yes, they're a very important tool. Very important tool. And are the police going to respond? Yes. They did respond in this case heavily. And she was eventually controlled, kind of. They had to physically restrain her, top, bottom, legs, hands, everything. And but just pure animalistic.
Over a purse.
Stealing a purse. And it was not somebody's purse full of stuff. It was a purse off the shelf. So pretty sad. But anyways, crime happens all around us, so we got to be very careful. So here's a sad bit of information. And we have actually, it's new news coming from the gun world. In this past week, we found out, in being the first week in December, that two very important guns that we like and have used over the years are now done. They're not going to produce them anymore.
That's right.
And that kind of hurts. I mean, this is odd when you see this happen, because you see these things and they're works of art. Some are more like a tool, but when you look at this first one, the Ruger Red Label.
Yes.
Beautiful over and under shotguns. And it's Ruger. It's America's firearms manufacturer.
They discontinued these after 30 years in 2011. They announced they would no longer be making these guns. They were no longer profitable. 2011, they quit producing them.
Right.
And they put their focus on their AR series rifles.
Yes, they did. The SR series.
SR series. So in October of 2013, it was announced Ruger is reintroducing the red label.
And it was big
and
news.
I'm pretty sure we had brought that up on the show.
Yes, we did. It was big news.
It was a big news. Hey, the red label is back after hiatus. Well, they called it. It's the redesigned red label. It came in its own hard case.
Yeah,
it was a hard case with 5 Briley choke tubes. I mean everything. And
that's basically $200 worth of choke tubes the gun came with,
and at least $100 box.
And the price point for this gun, I mean, for the beauty of this gun, they were on the shelves at Williams for just over $1,000.
Yep.
And
they came in a 26, 28, or 30-inch barrel option. And I had the strongest feeling that they would introduce us in a 20 gauge. My manual for my red label mentions the 12 or 20 gauge models.
Yes.
So the intention was there. But unfortunately, Tuesday of this past week, Ruger had sent a letter out to its dealers announcing that the red label would end production effective immediately. Any red labels you find currently on the shelves, there will be no more for the time being.
So the price is unfortunately skyrocketing, and it is hard to find now.
And remember, Ruger is moving out of Connecticut completely.
So as well as other gun manufacturers,
correct.
Moving
See,
out of
Connecticut's not a big state, so I wonder if it's just the tooling there.
Well, that's where that's where the craftsmen were. That's where the gun makers of America have always been, up in New Haven, Connecticut, Winchester, Ruger, so many of these companies based. Even the old, we had just recently we had somebody send us one of our listeners sent us a picture of a gun saying, "Can you tell me more about this gun?" And sure, you look at all these old guns and it always says "Made in Connecticut." Yeah, Made in Connecticut. You don't see Rhode Island. You don't see Maine. You say Made in Connecticut. That's where the gun guys were. That's where all the machinists were.
So Ruger is moving manufacturing to North Carolina.
Oh, that's right.
And Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yes.
So there's those two facilities now, more focused on the other rifles and handguns. So the red label has basically how the letter explained it. Production costs had basically skyrocketed.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it was deemed not as profitable as they hoped it would be.
Well,
which brings up a point that even though you and I were discussing this on the way in this morning, even though you may love that gun, it's still produced by a corporation.
Right.
And if the corporation deems it not a successful venture, they will stop it.
It's like, who doesn't want to drive a 1976 Ford Pinto? They were awesome cars, but they just don't make them anymore. I'm saying that as a joke, of course, but the point is, there are guns out there that I wish they were still making. The Astra A80. Love that gun.
The Coleco. Why don't they make the Coleco anymore? Because it's
production costs were high. Why don't they make the Bren 10?
Even you look at Colt Pythons.
Yeah. The Colt Anaconda. I'd love to get an Anaconda, but the production costs were so high that they were limited editions. They ran them and they're gone. I've had some of my WinCam guns. Some beautiful Coyote Winchesters. You can't find them now. You just can't, they're limited editions. They are what they are. So
that's kind of where we're falling into now with the red label. When you find one, it will be rare.
Yes.
It'll become, they still have the old red labels, but you hardly ever see an older red label for sale.
No, every now and then, we saw a blued one not long ago at Williams.
We did.
Red labels for years have had a stainless steel receiver and then blued barrels, and we found one that was all blued, an older 20 gauge, and still a finely made gun, but there's a lot of over and under guns out there. There's a huge amount of over and under guns that are coming in from Europe. These Turkish guns,
And you've got over and unders at a price point of $500 to $600.
Sure.
And you've got them upwards of $2,000.
Right.
And there's the red label in the middle, right about $1,000.
Which is a good spot to be. I thought it was perfect. I thought it was a great gap between the inexpensive ones. Say like us, one of the Silver Reserve.
Mossberg Silver Reserve.
Yeah, and which is Turkish made.
Yeah.
And here was an American made product for just over $1,000. I thought for sure it'd be $1,600 when they brought it back out.
Yep.
But it wasn't. So, but anyways, there's more guns, and do you want to go to commercial break and finish talking about it, or do you want?
No, we'll finish this one here. The other rifle.
This is
This is the other company that it really does come as a shock to all of us here that they have officially stopped production. Is H&R Harrington and Richardson. Now they have been purchased, but they have stopped production of all single shot rifles. And shotguns.
And these were American-made tough handy rifles is what they're named.
Handy rifle.
That was a style of gun that was popular for lightweight hunting guns.
I have a friend that has a single shot 30-30 he hunts with.
Yes.
H&R 30-30. And he says it's less expensive than a lever action, and you only need one shot anyways.
That's right.
So H&R, they were purchased by the same parent company of Remington, DPMS, Bushmaster, Marlin, and many others. And that's the Freedom Group. And in this process, over the past years, they've consolidated. That's why you see Marlin now having the bolt actions, Remington producing AR-15s.
And you notice there's a lot of similarities. Of course, with the AR-15s, they all look alike anyway. Slight differences between Rugers and others, but other than that, there's they're putting these guns together under one big umbrella. It's almost like they've become the General Motors.
Correct.
And what they've just done was they've just thinned down the line that Oldsmobile and Pontiac make. So they're cutting this down. So very similar.
So in the process, they've moved around some manufacturing facilities, and like you said, they're basically thinning out the rifles that they do not use as much of.
Yeah. It's a tough,
maybe it's not profitable enough for them as well.
Could be with the amount of metal they use, the amount of machining it takes.
Huge barrels on a single shot.
Some of them barrels. But a lot of guys, I don't know. That's been a popular gun for a long time. We've owned several of them, had lots of fun with them, and they are single shots. So and in today's society, when is the last time you saw a video game where a guy's using a single shot rifle? Ain't gonna happen.
Now,
so marketing wise is my point. Marketing wise,
there's no lore. There's no your days of people wanting to be the out west sniper. The Quigley down under of sorts.
Yeah. I understand your thoughts there.
And I almost say this, but I almost think the single shot rifle, the time of it is past.
You might be right. It depends on how hard ammunition is to get. But you might be right. Now,
they just introduced the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum in a handy rifle.
In a handy rifle. You were looking for one, actually. So
and nobody had seen one.
No. Maybe
this might be why. This might be why.
They might have introduced it just to see if there was enough stir. But, it's sad to see, and because if you were to, even a handy rifle, which you can get for under $300.
Oh, easy.
And you pick them up used for $200. Even a handy rifle, if you were to make that gun, if you found a gunsmith and said, can you make me this gun, it would cost you probably $2,000 to have it made with the machining hours and the timing.
Yep.
Probably easily that. So it's not something that can be easily replaced. So I hate to see the production end on these because you won't see them again.
Well, and along with production ending, you've got the jobs associated with it.
Exactly.
You've got people, men and women, that have worked on these lines their entire lives.
Yeah. Careers.
It's a career. I mean, this is not just a factory job where you're pressing the button on the line. This is a factory where it's a career that you've made. Hand fitted the stocks of these guns.
Even the box makers, that
Exactly.
make the boxes for them. All the accessories, the stocks, and they've gotten into some really cool stuff. We've got one that actually has a really nice, good camouflage stock. Molded plastic, but it shuts down a tremendous amount of jobs. So,
but with corporations.
Yeah, exactly. Goes back to profit.
Exactly.
Goes back to profit. How much profit is there? If there's not that much profit, they're not going to keep that gun in production.
That's
so,
right.
all right. Well, let's go
to commercial break.
Let's get a commercial in and hang on tight. The Gunsmith Show will be right back, working towards that 9 o'clock hour.